Hi, everyone, and welcome to Part 2 Book Club. We are back. We're back. It's been a long time in the making, approximately 10 months. But we have, in fact, read a book and managed to find time in our lives to come together to review said book. So, well done, us. Let's all pat ourselves on the back. Well done, everybody. Well done. Well done. It's only been pushed back 4 times, but here we are. Shan has a question.
Have we actually all read the book? Because I don't think that's a true statement.
Yeah, we're going to come on to that. We're going to come
Yeah,
on
I think we need to get onto it.
We're going to come on to that. So, yes, we have had a hiatus. Let's call it that. Like Hollywood calls it that. They make it sound so cool. We have had a hiatus brought on by life. But we are back with a book review. But before we kick off, let's do a 5-second round the houses on how the hell have you all been? Alicia, how are you? What's the news? What's the goss? Fill us in.
Well, the year's flown by. How have I been? All good. So Millie started secondary school. She's really into it. She's loving it. And that's been a bit of a game changer in the house because she gets herself ready. She's up before everyone else and um which is great. And Eliza's just the same daydreamer that she's always been. With me and Leon, all good. Works, a bit up and down. Nothing much else to say on that front. Yeah, all right. Sorry, not much to report. I feel like, everything's kind of the same but different. Thinking about moving to Portugal, that's always fun. It's nice to think about the grass
Yeah.
being greener. I mean, the country, well, let's not go into politics, but let's say I'd rather be in a different country right now.
Yeah. Well, Australia is pretty sunny. It's nice and warm. It's about 26 degrees this morning at 6 a.m. I'm looking out at a most beautiful kookaburra. So we're here. We're big
Beautiful.
country. Got loads of room. Not that you'd know it with our immigration policies, but anyway, we won't get into politics.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. And Shaharia Winter. Oh, full name. Actually, it's not your name at all.
Not even my name.
How are you? What's going on? What's new?
Nothing particularly, well, maybe since we last did a pod, stuff is new. Nothing particularly new since I last spoke to you guys a few hours ago. I feel like we have had a pod this year, though, haven't we?
We have. We've had a few,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've
It's
had more of lifestyle.
Yeah, so I think I'd started this role, or I was about to start this role at the last one. Anyway, my first proper baby store, my own first baby, my first store that I designed myself from scratch, opened this week on Tuesday, and it was amazing to see it. It was really, really great. I loved opening day. It was so good. But yeah, it was just really gratifying to have a project like that on that kind of scale come to fruition. So yeah, that was really good. It was really rewarding, and onwards and upwards. I mean, we've got so much work on at the moment. It's kind of insane, but it's all good things. All good things.
Awesome. And also, it looked phenomenal. There was so much stuff in the pictures you posted on LinkedIn. There were so many pictures where I was like, "Oh, I want that kitchen. Oh no, I want that kitchen. Oh no, that kitchen."
That was only like 5 photos as well. I need to put more up.
Yeah, and I want that cupboard. There was a cupboard, like a pantry cupboard
Yellow
thing.
one.
There's a lot on it. Anyway, if anyone's listening and needs a kitchen, go to Magnet, and Shani designs the stores now, unfortunately. Not your own kitchens, except she's going to design mine all the way in
Yeah.
Australia at some point. But yeah, Magnet. We'll give you a free plug there, Magnet. You've employed her this long. We'll give you a free plug.
How long has it been, Shani?
19 years tomorrow.
Right. Wow,
Oh
Sean.
my God.
19 years tomorrow.
That's crazy. And also, Shani, you totally forgot to tell everyone, you just got like full tatted up recently. Me and you are like that tattoo era.
Such a badass with my Roman tattoo. It's upside down, but there's Roman's little face.
Raymond's head dog, for anyone who's
Very
forgotten.
sweet.
It's upside down. I can't get the angle. There you go. It's there. That's Roman's upside down little face.
Is he looking at you when you... Yeah, I guess so.
Sort of, yeah.
He doesn't look at you in real life. He just scowls for food.
Pretty much. She's like passed out on the floor at the moment.
Very good. Sarah, insert middle name, insert last name.
I mean, fairly similar to Alicia. Our kids are at like similar transition points. I've now got 2 kids in secondary school, and one still in primary, and it's trying to navigate the school runs and the sports and the activities and the work, and just a massive juggle that you never really feel like you become the master of.
Maybe when they're all back in one school.
Yeah, I don't even know if Ted and Lottie, they're in the same school, and today he was in Cambridge playing rugby. She was at home playing hockey, and I had to and then they both finished at different times that aren't the normal times that you would finish school at. And so it was, and then I had Will doing rugby at a 45 minutes away. So it was it's just a juggle. It's just, and then you add life on top of it. But no, it's all good. Heading into autumn, I'm a big fan of autumn. So hence the, fleecy thing now. All good.
Nice. Well, my life update, thanks for asking.
Sarah, I was waiting for Sean because you normally
I know Sean normally goes, and you, Zara.
I was waiting to make sure Sarah was done.
I'm done.
How about you, Zara?
Let's try that again, people.
Seamless. Thanks, guys. Life update. Oh, not much. Got made redundant. Don't have a job. Looking for a new job. So that's so fun. Oh, that's great. The job market's shocking. But, I'm out there. I have taken to retirement. Maybe too well. Not sure I'm going to fit a job back in, but we'll see. I could try and make my bank balance stay as is in perpetuity. I'd just not go back to work. But alas, the mortgage payments,
Yeah,
they take a dent. So yeah, I'm also on a booze break. I started that a little while ago, and it's starting to really shape my personality. Do you know what I mean? I talk about it all the time, but no, I'm trying to do loads of things that are healthier for mind, body, and spirit. So I'm just getting into loads of things, and probably gonna become a master painter because I've got to paint by numbers, which I started yesterday, and I'm pretty good at it. And I also ordered a, what do you call it? You know how in old-fashioned times they had a thing, and then they do cross stitch. Ordered a beginner's cross stitch. Gonna get into that. I've been watching The Gilded Age. I think it might be rubbing off on me. And just generally loving life. That's it. Loving life.
That's
If anyone's got a job though, that would be really helpful. So reach out. Let me know. If it involved reading books all day long, even better.
cross stitching.
But enough about us and our deeply, deeply boring / brilliant lives. Let's get on to our review, guys. This book was chosen by the beautiful Sean, insert middle name, insert last name. And Sean did do a flip-flop on us, I have to say, because she told me one book and I was like, oh, that looks good. I think we'll be okay with that. I think Sarah will be all right. And then she flip-flopped on us, and we're about to find out what happens when when we flip-flop, aren't we, Sean? So, Sean, why don't you tell us why we are here to review Obsidian by K.F. Breen? At least Sarah has the book. At least she has the book.
I
She
have
might
it
wanna read
on my
one.
shelf. Mine's up there.
Of course I have the book.
Mine's on here.
Mine's up
Go.
there.
Shani, why are we here? And give us a brief synopsis of Obsidian, if you wouldn't mind.
Obsidian. So Obsidian is the spin-off series to the Demigods of San Francisco series that K.F. Breen wrote that is hugely popular. And I loved that series. And this character was a very beloved character in that series, Daisy. And lots of people, so I'm on a lot of author group pages on Facebook and Instagram and whatnot, and a lot of people kept asking her are you going to write Daisy's book? Are you going to write Daisy's book? She never planned to, but then the idea came to her and she decided to give the fans what they wanted, and here we are. And I was like, do you know what? When is another opportunity that I'm going to get Sarah to read something romantasy? I want to see if there is any way she would like anything about the romantasy genre. And because K.F. Breen is one of my favorite romantasy authors, I thought this would be a good foray into it. Fully not expecting you to like it at all, Sarah, even before we spoke about it. I had a feeling. And this was recently released when I was making my book choice, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it balls to the wall, let's pick Obsidian. And yeah, so the basic premise is Daisy, she crosses paths with a fae, like over a several years period. But this book kind of starts when their paths really cross because they're after the same thing. And I don't know what the blurb says. What does the blurb say? We've established that I don't read it.
It talks about
Fairy world shit.
it talks about like he's forbidden sin and now he holds the key to destroy all they hold. I have
Okay.
a whole point of view on the blurb versus the book, so we can.
Versus the book. And the reason I'm asking about the blurb is because I know we're going to spoil it, but there's no point in me like doing it in the synopsis.
No.
Yeah. So let's just leave it at that. She crosses paths with a fae.
The end.
The end.
If only.
Yeah.
Why don't we just start with the obvious question? What was your first reactions to Obsidian? Do you know what? Let's just get this out of the way, Sarah.
Don't make me go first.
Start at the bottom and work up.
Okay, so what my first reaction? So I was hopeful, super hopeful, because it was it's one of Sean's favorite authors, and so I went in thinking like I did with did you pick Bride, Sean? Am I getting that wrong? Was that
Alicia picked Leash.
I was a novice.
No, but you guys read a lot of romantasy, and Shana picked it, and I was like, okay, like let's go in, like, and it's the first did not finish, but I tell you what, it isn't. It's not did not try. So I really gave it a good shot, and I got close to halfway in before I effectively, I think about a week or so ago, said she goes like, I give up with this one. It was I've heard, and I even spoke to a friend of mine who's very into the romantic sort of genre. I was like, have you read this? And she said, I haven't. She did a Google. She's like, I promise you everything says, the sort of like back quarter, it gets better. But I thought, why would I do that to myself? Like, why would I like force myself to get through 3/4 of a book to maybe potentially like the last quarter? But I did. I spent a lot of time sort of like reading like 2 or 3 pages and putting it down. I just couldn't get that pace you get when you start reading something and you go next page, next page, next page. Or you get into bed and you go, okay, I want to know what happens next. It was all very arduous. I found that there was so much was trying to go in at the beginning, if that makes sense. Like, it seemed like it was, like you said, it's a spin-off, right? So it felt to me very much like it was setting up the next series of books as opposed to being like a standalone book. And I think maybe if you have come into it without having read the stuff before, that felt confusing, and it was hard to go, well, who's that? Who's got this magic? You've got that magic. I think too many characters. There was a lot of, particularly in the beginning part, like a lot of repetitive monologue from her that I was struggling to stay engaged with because it felt quite lengthy and tiresome. And I'm sure you guys are going to, when you talk about the ending, it's going to have all really picked up. But for me, I just couldn't. Yeah. I wasn't expecting high stuff from, but I, like, you guys have spoken so highly about romantasy. I don't think this was potentially the best example of a well-written romantasy book. But I did give up. I did. And I think that I have to be completely honest in that.
So you officially, though, just to be clear, you DNF.
Big DNF. I just couldn't. It was bad. Though I found the pacing difficult.
Enough.
Absolutely fair.
Excuse me. Alicia, give it to me straight.
So I finished the book, but I only just finished it about half an hour ago.
So it's
Not a bit surprised.
So if we did do this recording when we were going to, I would have been in a similar position as Sarah. I've read a lot of romantasy, and I have read a K.F. Breen book. I enjoyed that one a lot more than I enjoyed this one. I think similar to Sarah. So I think the problem for me was there was a lot of reference to the previous series at the start, which was fine. I felt the start was incredibly slow, didn't really know what was going on. And I found that the writing was quite cheesy. And, the references to some other, modern stuff that the guy, Tarion, didn't know. When we got to halfway or just over halfway, actually, you're right, Sarah, your friend, the last quarter of the book suddenly got a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
As soon as the monsters and all these other things, the action picked up. And I think because of the action, I was like, okay, I'm into this. But when you compare that action and those monsters to the others that we've read before and the characters, I feel like, no offense, Daisy, I feel like she was like a poor man's version of what's her name, Celeste Arathian, or whatever her name is, from one of
Throne of
the
Glass.
Heir of Fire, Throne of Glass, Sarah J. Maas. So I get, I feel like I've read a very similar plot or storyline, but this one just dragged on, and then it got a lot better at the end. And then at the end, which I'm sure we'll come to, I'm like, well, I have to read the next book to see what happens. That's so annoying, like that cliffhanger. I thought, at least finish it. Like, let us out of our miseries.
Zara.
I'll go next, and then you can finish up. What I've come to realize is that, as with like anything in life, movies, books, like painting, anything in life, there's like this scale, right? Of like, on the one end, you've got your kind of popcorn, easy to digest, easy to consume, easy to get, kind of, and then you've got your super in-depth fantasy where there's like heaps of world building and all of that kind of stuff. Interestingly, is a bit Throne of Glass and all of those guys. And I think this is sort of trying to be a bit of everything, which then makes it a bit confusing. So it's trying to be kind of your start point, and then it's also trying to create this very deep world. Now, I totally understand that this is a series. She's already said it's a series, and so she's trying to build the world so that you can kind of continue on. But I just really struggled with, and I will caveat that I struggle with this no matter what, real world magic stuff. So like, I am absolutely fine with fays, vampires, shifters, wielders, like all of that stuff. Like, I've literally got sat next to me Metal Slinger. Like, I am great with that if the whole world that's within it, that's around it, is also different, right? So it's created. So where I really struggle, and I don't know why I find it super like cringy, is when that's all set in like San Francisco yesterday, and it's like, no, that's silly.
Yeah.
Now, I understand the dichotomy of what I just said, which is, I'm cool with vampires as long as they're in a magical world. But oh my God, don't put them in the real world. That's just stupid. But I really do. I really, really struggle with it because I'm like, well, that would never happen. The other thing wouldn't happen either. But there's something about the whole package makes you think, well, that's fine. This is a fantasy. It's a mythical place. It's a space that this person's created. And again, I'll use Metal Singer as a great example of that. The other thing, so that was one thing. The other thing was, like everyone said, probably the first 2/3, it was just nothing really. And it was trying to introduce us to many, 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 many characters. But as a perimenopausal woman, I'm not able to retain that much information, guys. Like, I'm just pushing through day to day, trying to get through life. Like, there was like 6,000 people in this book. You don't need 6,000 people. There's 57 million people in this book, and they've all got a different power. I can't remember that. Guys, I can't remember that it's Thursday. I can't remember it's Thursday. So that did not help me at all. And then it did get a little bit better. But ironically, when they went to the other world, suddenly I was like, oh, well, this isn't stupid anymore. Now I quite enjoy it. So look, and I think the writing, to be honest with you, I think it's just Hallmark writing in a romantasy, right? It's just that same kind of light, lots of inner monologue-y type Hallmarky stuff, which I believe Breen it's one of her kind of things. I have not read any of her other books. Shani will tell us.
You've read Magical Midlife?
Was that her?
Yeah.
Then
Completely different vibe.
Completely different vibe. That's literally like, yeah, that's like Gilmore Girls with magic. But yeah, it's exactly that, right? It's Hallmark. It's Gilmore Girls. It's like all of that. So yeah, will I pick the next one up? No, probably not. But now I know. Alicia, you had a question.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've read other books where there were a lot of characters that were introduced, but we didn't mind that so much. But I wonder whether because, like you say, she's trying to put it all into quite a short book versus an ACOTAR or a big series. Because I loved all those characters and we got to know them. But
Yeah.
are we trying? Is she saying Zorn and this person and that person? I'm like, who, what? Fairies.
Do you know the difference? I actually was thinking about this. The difference is, if you look at like, let's take Throne of Glass, not Throne of Glass. Let's take Court of Thorn and Roses. As the character moves along, she's like introduced to all of these different people, and so there's this like slow introduction. This is literally, she walks in the back door of a house and there's 7,000 people sat around a table, and all of a sudden you're being introduced to all their powers. I was like, huh? Like, it's like going to a dinner party with like no one you've ever known before. Plus, they've got magical powers that you've got to try and remember. So I agree. Like, there's loads of characters. Like, Sean and I are reading Eldritch at the moment. Like, that's actually multi POV characters. But yeah, because of the way you're introduced to them, you kind of retain it. I don't know. Anyway, Shani, this is your book. Shani, hit us up. What's your thought?
So I actually agree for the most part. Even as someone who read the previous series, I found it was almost like two different books in one, right?
Yeah.
So you get the beginning that's set in the real world. So yeah, you get the first part, which is in the real world, and it's almost like it's catered for the people who've read Demigods. Because even as someone who has read Demigods, I read it so many years ago now, like probably about 2 or 3 years ago now, maybe more, that I can't remember half the people's names. I can't remember their powers. So even I was confused, like, who? What was their power? Why? What's going on? No, even I was confused. And like to Zara's point about how like in ACOTAR and other books where you are introduced slowly to those characters as the main character goes through, that does happen in the previous series.
You see.
You meet these people slowly in the previous series. So even I was confused, having already read it, because I couldn't remember anybody's names. I couldn't remember their powers. I still can't remember their powers. So I actually agree. And the second half, or like last third, is where it really picked up, when he takes her off, when they're like going over to Fey Realm, whatever it's called, Fayside, whatever.
Fairy,
there we go.
I just finished it, so.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Yeah, so that is when it really picked up, because that is the story that I was expecting it to be. I didn't think she was going to set so much of it in the real world. And that, although it was kind of setting up for like how they cross paths and why he might take her away, it also was kind of unnecessary. I don't think we really needed that. So no, I actually wholeheartedly agree. The last third was great. That's where it picked up. That's the story I was expecting. The bit that was set in the real world was very much, it was like a different book. And I wholeheartedly agree. It was confusing. I wasn't expecting it to be like that, or I wouldn't have chosen it for book club, because even I was confused, and I've read the previous series. So yeah, I did enjoy it still, because, I know her writing, and I know as I was reading it, I started like slowly remembering what these characters, like who they were to each other and that kind of thing. So yeah, if I'd known in advance it was going to be written in this manner, then I wouldn't have chosen it for book club, and I would have gone with maybe my original choice that Sarah might have actually enjoyed, because it wasn't romantasy, Sarah. I think there's a romance undercurrent, but it's a mystery book.
But I, like, in all honesty though, I really want to read a well-written romantasy. Like, I do just that.
Yeah,
Huh?
I've got one for you, but it's high romance. So it's high fantasy. So I think, yeah, but if you're game, I've definitely got one for you.
Which one?
Which one's
Yeah.
that?
Anathema.
Oh, I want to read that. Yeah, that's on my
What?
list.
Good. It is good.
Yeah, I want to read something that's good.
I guess the question with romantasy is, and this is what I've come to figure out, and I think I said this to you, Shani, is like, you've got to figure out what, because not all romantasy is created equal, and also there's a difference between romantasy and romantic fantasy. I've worked out that I'm the romantic fantasy, and also that I need something that is quite high fantasy, i.e. what I just said, which is it is a escape world. Like there's a whole world. It doesn't bridge the real world. There's no like, and actually I find it even better if there's almost like a historical element to it. Like there's a feeling that it's in the past, or there's like a, you know, I don't know how to describe it, but
there's no technology.
no technology,
yeah.
none of that stuff. So, but before we get too down in the dumps, or too I don't know, negative about it. Was there anything about it though that obviously the back half or the back quarter certainly picked itself up? Was there anything else though that like we thought was, you know, decent and would be worth commenting on? Was there anything positive that we have to say, or are we all just a bit like, no, thank you?
I think without spoiling it, the revelation of what she is, and also him, you know, who he was and his backstory and hers, which I think was only in the last 50 pages. Actually, I thought, oh, that's really interesting. You can go somewhere with this because they weren't who you thought they were at the start. But I think if you're a new reader to this, you know, you've kind of lost a lot of their willingness to continue.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you know, maybe Shani, if you read the next one and you tell us if it's any good.
I'll let you know.
I feel like, you know, there was enough in the end to think, oh, you know, I wouldn't say absolutely not, because of the backstory that she was creating and what she was building up to. But I don't want to read it and go, well, that was
Why did I do that? Yeah. I mean, obviously I'll be reading it because I want to know what happens, but no, I completely get where you guys are coming from. I did still enjoy it, but most of that was the last third.
I think there could have been, you know, maybe a couple of chapters of a brief introduction to how that kind of connection happened. And then I think it was take her to the other realm and let's crack on with that. I think it definitely could have. So the back half I didn't mind. I quite liked the kind of trial as they were going through the tunnel, or
Yeah.
want to call it, to get to the other to the other side, like the chicken. But yeah, but my biggest issue with this book is this. That to me looks like
the cover.
Let me just show you something, right? So this is a high fantasy, gothic, like deep, well-written, you know, multi-layered, multi-world book, right? And it's this cover tells you exactly what it is, right? This is the character, this is the words, these are, you know, all of this ties straight back in with what is in this book, with the story of this book. The back of it, exactly, it does what it says on the tin, guys.
Yeah.
This, no, not so much. Not so much.
Very misleading.
This has nothing to do with what is inside of this book. Nothing. This has nothing to do with what is inside of this book. So you pick this up and you think, like, because let's be fair, they're not dissimilar from one another.
Yeah, I think so. It's exactly the same. I'm
Read
just
it.
ordering Anathema now, actually, while you.
Oh my god, it's my favorite book in all the world. Anyway, I love this book. I actually don't want Sarah to read it in case she hates it, because then
No. But this gives more like, this is like self-published versus
You'll find a lot of
a book that's got a publishing house behind it.
but a lot of romantasy authors are self-published.
This was
Why is that?
self-published. It was she's only just been published by Penguin. Like, oh my god, I've just realized there's like,
But she's been taken on by Penguin.
It's just a profit thing. If they're successful without it, why would you do it? Why would you give them any part of your profit?
Yeah, I suppose I totally get that as well. I think maybe just like you were saying there, the cover and the blurb at the back, like, don't necessarily make it the most
Yeah.
endearing book.
I think the cover's wrong. Totally wrong. I think I went in expecting not necessarily something like this, but dark gothic, kind of otherworldly.
Well, that's what I
It
think the
literally
next
starts with them
book.
on the beach.
Yeah, I think the next book will go down that route.
Yeah, but let's do scores and any final thoughts before we move on to the next book club read. Sarah, we'll start with you. Sorry.
No, like I said, I think it would be unfair to. I think as a DNF has to be a 0, and I'm disappointed. I really, I think mainly I really want to read a well-written romantasy, and I think unfortunately this wasn't it.
Yep. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Alicia?
I wish I had all my other scores here so I can try and calibrate it. But I think because it took me so long to get into it, and the last quarter probably didn't save it enough, I'm going to give a score, and I'm going to give you a song that was in my head. So, well, the song is "I'm Not Okay" by My Chemical Romance. I don't know if you know how that goes. That was going through my head because I wasn't okay reading it until today. And I'm going to give it maybe a 2. Maybe that's a bit generous. Below average, but not in the gutter.
Yeah. I'm going to as well. I think that last bit redeemed it a little bit, and it gave me a view of what I think she was actually trying to get to. Sean?
I denied about this score because, I score on vibes. I don't score in relation to other books that I've read because I would constantly be second guessing myself with how much I read. So I score completely on the vibe at the time. But I did and ah with this, so I think I'm going 3.5. Because like you said, as a KF Bean fan, as a Demigods reader, I did forgive a lot of that. And I did enjoy that last bit. And I am curious and excited to see where it goes now that they're in Fairy and now that the good stuff has actually started happening. Do I think it needed to be 2 books? No. It could have been 1 with this last quarter and a couple of chapters before.
Yeah.
Tied into the next book. But yeah, so I'm going to go 3.5 on this one.
Cool. Well, it's not a total whitewash of hatred as others have been. But yeah, let us know what happens, Sean, because none of us are going to be reading it. Sorry, KF Breen, well done on even getting a book out there, because frankly, I didn't have the time to write my own shopping list. So well played. But we're going to move on to the good stuff, which is where are we going from here? So I have actually had this book, well, because it's taken us so long to get here. I've actually had this book ready to go. When I just brought it in, I just dusted it off because the dust had accumulated. I have had it on my bookshelf and been staring at it and wanting to read it so badly. You'll be pleased to know, Sarah, it is not particularly thick, and the font, I think it's acceptable.
That's good. Some tiny fonts.
But it's called Aftertaste, and it's by Daria Lavelle. And I have seen lots of really good things. So the back says a food story to binge, a ghost story to devour, a love story to savor. When dead-end dishwasher Kostya discovers the ability to summon spirits through the food he cooks, he embarks on a journey to open a New York City restaurant serving closure, something he's craved for as long as he can remember. So I think it's got a little bit of the mythical. So why is Sarah like that?
She doesn't like the blood.
Because it's paranormal.
It's not actually. It's not very paranormal. Anyway, you have to read.
He conjures spirits through his food.
Well, let's go into it with an open mind, Sarah.
Yes.
Because
Open
going into it like
hearts and
that, you're not
minds.
going to like it no matter what. So anyway, I thought this was a really good mix of food and a little bit of the stuff that I like. But I've heard really brilliant things about how this is written, and the story itself apparently it's quite sad. So that is the book club read, Aftertaste by Daria Lavelle.
Look it up now.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
sometime in 2026, we'll review it.
1 month.
1 month.
You said that last time, love. So that's it. That is the next book club read. So I'm actually really excited for it once I finish. Well, actually, no, I'll wait until Sarah picks it up. Because otherwise I'll forget everything that happens.
Books, I just don't. Yeah, like they're just not those ones.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens with this one. Any final thoughts from anyone before we close this bad boy out?
No, sorry, I'm just reading the blurb for Aftertaste.
I will bid you all good evening and good morning to me. But thanks everyone for joining me on the review of Obsidian by KF Breen. And we will be back sometime in the future to review Aftertaste and look forward to hearing your thoughts on that one. So yeah, thanks all.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Have a good day.
Bye.